Welcome back. So let's finish off chapter 2. So the next section is 14, and we're going to look at some formatting in Python 2. It's an older formatting method, but I think it's still worth knowing about. So we have a variable called name. We're setting it to the string Mike, and we're saying hello. But then we have some strange text coming after it. So let's read it carefully. We have %s. Now this %s is a placeholder, and the obvious thing we want to put in there is Mike's name. So hello Mike, and that will be the string that we're trying to print out. Now the way you do that is outside of the quotation marks, put the % symbol again, and then put the variable that you are printing with. So hello, and you want to insert the Mike variable in there. So you do that with a %. And that would be an alternative to saying print hello, and then we'll put in a plus sign there, and then we'll put the variable Mike. So this is an alternative to this format right here. So instead of using the concatenation, instead of using the plus sign, we're using a placeholder, and we're putting the variable after the quotes. So let's go ahead and try this out now. So we have string 1, Camelot, and string 2, place. And what are we going to do? We are going to print the following. Let's go to %s. So that's a placeholder for the first variable, string 1. And then there's a period, tis. Now that's old English. This is silly. Okay, so again, %s, that would be the second variable. So if we were to read it all together, let's go to Camelot. This is a silly place. And then we have a %, and we have the variables right there. So let me quickly copy this into Notepad so to make sure we can read it. Okay, oops. Let's maximize this a bit. So we have two variables, string 1, string 2. Let's not go to, and then you have a variable that's going to go in there, your first variable, string 1. Let's not go to Camelot. So just imagine in your mind Camelot. This is a silly, and then you have another string, a placeholder. That's for string 2. This is a silly place. And then outside the quotation marks, you do the % symbol again, and you write the two variables that are going to go into the first placeholder and the second placeholder. So I think that's pretty straightforward. You have a placeholder for the first variable, a second placeholder for the second variable. So let's try this out here. I think all we're going to do here is just simply run it. And you can see here we have Camelot where the first placeholder is, and place where the second placeholder is. Let's go on to the next one. So we're looking at formatting a little bit more. I think here we're going to do a little bit of practice. So here they've provided a simplified example of the previous section. So Mike is the value for the variable name. Hello, then we see a placeholder, so that means the value of a variable that is going to go in there, and that variable, of course, is name, so that is going to give us hello Mike. So it's a bit convoluted. You might have to get a little bit of practice with it. It's hard on the eyes, but it's really not that hard. And if we go to the next example, let's copy that in and see if we can figure out what they're doing there. Okay, so here we have 1, 2, 3 placeholders. So in the first in the first placeholder, we're not going to put a variable this time. We're going to put a string. So let's do cut and paste that right in. The Knights Who. Okay, now we have a second placeholder. Let's take the second text, cut, and put that right in. So what do we have so far? The Knights Who Say. And then we have a third placeholder. So let me cut out the third string there and put that right in. The Knights Who Say Ni. Now, the movie is pretty silly. It's a Monty Python movie, and it's a quote from that movie, The Knights Who Say Ni. So let's see what we need to do in this exercise. So now it's your turn. Wherever we see the underline, okay, we need to put in our own code. So we have underlines here. So let's put in our own code. So wherever, for the first three, we're going to indicate that there are placeholders there with the %s. So let's go ahead and do that. %s, that's your first placeholder. Second placeholder, %s. And then I think we have one more placeholder here. There it is, %s. And we have three variables, name, quest, and color. And the values for those three variables are right there at the top. They've been declared up there, Alex, Teaching Python, and Blue. So calculate in your mind what's going to appear in the console when we hit run, just simply by substituting in the values of those variables in the placeholder. And I don't think we're finished here. I think we have one more underscore here that we need to replace with with a % symbol. So let's do that. We'll put in the % symbol in there, indicating that we have values, variables, text to follow for the placeholder. So let's click run, and I'm sure you could have guessed what it's going to say. So your name is Alex, your quest is teaching Python, and your favorite color is blue. Well, I'm not a Monty Python fan. Those who love those movies are probably more familiar with that quote. Let's go on now to the last section of the chapter, and we're just summing up what we've learned. We're looking at text, okay, so you can put text in single quotes, double quotes. You can take another data type like a number and convert it to a string. Then we have the length method, the upper and lower method to convert to upper and lower case, printing text, and then finally we saw that funny way of inserting values into a string and without using a concatenation. So this is an alternative to the plus or concatenation. So let's go ahead and do the exercises. So on line 3, we want to create a variable called myString and set it to anything you like. Okay, so myString, forgot the underscore, and we're going to set it to good morning class. And then on line 4, we want to use the length method to print out that variable. So let's go ahead and print the length, and the variable that we're printing out is myString, which is hello class. And then on line 5, we want to convert that string to uppercase and print it out. So again, we're going to print, and then we're going to put the string in there, and then we put our string method, upper, in brackets. So let's go ahead and click run, And we made a mistake on line 4, so let's quickly go down to line 4 and see what it is. Maybe, oh yes, I mistyped string on line 3, so let's correct that and run it again. And this time we can see good morning class, and the length is 18, and we've converted it all to uppercase. Now at any point, if you're really lost in this code and you want to just start all over again, I'd just like to remind you of the reset button that allows you to reset everything and start again. So let's go next, and I think that is it for this free Python 2. The project that they're asking you to do there is done in the premium version or the paid version, and we are now on to date and time, handling dates and time in Python 2.